Hi, welcome to Project Geospatial. I'm Adam Simmons here at the GEOINT 2024 Symposium in Orlando, Florida. In this segment, I have the pleasure of talking with BetterUp, Meredith Davis. Well, there you go. Meredith, thank you for joining us. And can you give us a rundown first of who you are? And I'll learn about who you are, and then we'll dive into who you are as a company.
National service has been a tradition in my family, so I started at the Naval Academy career-wise. I went to the Marine Corps, so I served there at 8th and I as a logistics officer. After my time, I went into consulting for a while, married back into the Marine Corps and followed my husband around with his career, and that's when I got into startups. So heavy technology startup background. Came back to DC, which was the only time zone we could actually live in together as a family.
That's amazing.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. Yeah. So now working for BetterUp, it kind of brings together national service because we're serving federal agencies with my technology background and kind of startup experience. So that's how I landed here.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I can imagine it's hard doing a startup when your husband's jumping you as a family everywhere, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Many balls to juggle for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the company itself, because it sounds like you have an amazing company you helped start, and you have an amazing story to tell. So, who is BetterUp?
Mm-hmm.
And talk to me about what BetterUp is trying to accomplish.
So I'm really just one of the members of the government team. So BetterUp started quite a long time ago, over 10 years ago on the commercial side.
Thank you for that clarification.
No problem. Not a co-founder, but certainly passionate about the government applications. So we started on the commercial side. Now we're in, we have coaching in every major time zone in the world, the largest coach network in the world. So really our technology platform is based on virtual coaching, so certified coaching on a tech platform that is AI enabled. And really that can be applied to solve any workforce problem. So what we do for organizations is solve issues like resilience, that has been slipping since COVID quite a bit. People really need help with that. Retention, mission readiness is really, I think, probably the number one in DoD with our Air Force work. So what we do is workforce development through coaching in our technology platform. And yeah.
All right, well, let's dive a little bit deeper into some of what these words actually mean for what you're trying to do here.
Sure.
You mentioned resilience. You mentioned workforce development here a little bit, and specifically, I think, on top of that, coaching. So what does coaching actually mean? What are you actually helping these individuals do? How are you helping them grow? And how are you helping them build what kind of resilience?
That is a really good question. So coaching, I think it's best described, maybe I can talk about what it's not, because people often confuse it with two different things. So they'll confuse it with mentorship, which is really somebody that's more senior in your job role or your job function that's helping to guide you in that particular career path. And then it's also confused with therapy quite often. And so we're definitely not therapy. That's when somebody would need a really acute kind of medical grade intervention.
Oh, okay.
Not doing that. So coaching is for everybody else. Right? So the broad spectrum of people that might just not be optimized. So you might not be at your best, which is pretty much everyone, right? And then it's to bring a certified and trained professional into that conversation where they're going to help you answer your own questions, find your own self-limiting beliefs, maybe introduce some new frameworks, new ways of thinking to you, and really help kind of remove a lot of the barriers, either personally or professionally, that you might be experiencing.
Awesome. Amazing. So as it relates to this industry, let's talk about the connection there. You're not just any coaching organization. You have a connection with the helping coaching with a number of organizations that are important to this community, right?
Yes. So we've been partnered with the Geospatial-Intelligence community in the form of NGA for the last 2 years, a pilot program. NGA really they started with an industry day to look at what are the new capabilities out there. Let's look at what's available, to their credit, what's available globally as far as new capabilities for workforce development, future-minded leadership, those kinds of things. And so that's how we started our partnership a couple of years ago. In the second year, the program doubled. It seemed to be very popular in our member interviews. Something new, something outside of the traditional chain of command or outside of the traditional resources that were offered. And it's really helped a lot of people.
Well, let's to emphasize how how amazing what you're doing is. Can you talk about the landscape before you come into an ecosystem to help them out? Like, what does the ecosystem look like where your type of coaching doesn't exist?
Where it doesn't exist?
Right.
So I would say kind of the coaching is not new, right? So
No.
most of our government partners have a coaching program. Some of them, if not all of them, are mandated to have a coaching program. So we all know that coaching works for human beings. Often, though, unfortunately, the landscape looks like coaching has been applied to people who might be struggling. Coaching has been applied to poor performers only.
Right.
And so in that way, it ends up being a little bit of a black mark. And people might even now be afraid of doing something like coaching.
Okay.
Because they think, oh, well, that's going to flag me as somebody who needs extra help, right? And that might be perceived as something negative. The other limitation we see in the current landscape is that coaching has been done on an hourly basis, and it's been done in person. So you have to find a coach that's in your geography, your location, which is incredibly difficult to do. It really limits your options. And then also a lot of hesitation around, well, if I have a limited number of hours of coaching, maybe I should save them for when the real crisis comes, right? Is this bad enough for me to ask
Right.
for a coach and use up my coaching hours? Or, I think for civil servants, this is a particular concern. Am I taking hours from someone else? Someone else might need them more. Reserve the coaching for the people who really need it, right?
And that's
So
not the case with you.
Yeah, it's this scarcity mentality around coaching because of just how the models have been deployed. For us, because we've enabled technology on our platform, and that brings the price point down per person, we can then do two things. We can democratize coaching, so we can extend it to a much broader range of people, whereas traditionally it might only be available to senior executives.
Okay.
But we can also provide unlimited coaching. So any member on our platform can have coaching every day of the week if they wanted to, for not just personal coaching at work, but any number of specialty coaching areas as well. So things like sleep and nutrition.
And to be clear, for at least the government community, right, is coaching only available within their government ecosystem and computers, or can they do this coaching at home as well?
That's a really good question. So they can do it on their government computers if they like to. But most often we see that people want to do it on their personal phone, on their mobile phone, if they're taking a break. They can do it on a personal laptop if they want to. So really anywhere they have a personal device, they can access the platform.
Awesome. So they don't have to be restricted to doing it within the workplace. They can do it anywhere they can outside the work environment.
Exactly, on demand. So it's supposed to be in the flow of work and in the flow of life whenever you need it.
That is amazing. That's awesome. And anything else you wanted to relay to our audience about who you are and what you're working to accomplish with improving the workforce?
Yeah, I think in Department of Defense specifically, we've seen in our really mature work with U.S. Air Force, we've seen a lot of focus on what I had mentioned earlier. So retaining staff, so in certain pockets of the Air Force, certain pockets of potentially NGA or other agencies, it's really a struggle for talent.
Right.
How do we know we're getting top tier talent? How do we know we're keeping the people that we hire that we really love? So that is a real issue that we've seen that we're able to address with our data, and we can show that, quantitatively that we can address that issue. Resilience, of course, so at NGA we saw a 20% increase in resilience in our coached population, which is amazing, and that's self-reported data. So how ready do you feel to bounce back from something that is holding you back, something negative that happened? How quickly can you do that? How strong do you feel when you do that? Those kinds of questions can help gauge resilience. And so that was a huge excitement. And then really the ultimate for me, what I see is our impact on the mission. So at the Air Force mission readiness, we've kind of broken it down to its elemental mindsets and behaviors. What would we want to track that's kind of under the surface that leads you to believe that not just from a materiel perspective or a number of people perspective, but from a quality perspective of each of those people, how high is their battery? Are they ready? Are they ready to deploy? Do they feel ready to do their wartime job? And are they committed to that? So those are the kinds of things that we're able to track, and historically I think have been kind of a blind spot.
Okay. Well, once again, it has been a pleasure learning more about BetterUp and the difference that you're making in the workforce. I think it's a really important part of our community that is under talked about is looking after people
Yeah.
behind the technology. So,
Exactly.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And
This
to
has been fun.
find out more about BetterUp, where how can people reach out to you?
Well, physically here at GEOINT, we have. Oh, okay.
Oh, no. Way beyond that, right?
Way
Right
beyond
there.
that. Okay, well, we have a government website, of course. I can share that with you. We have a microsite for our NGA partnership specifically. So if
Okay.
you want more information on that, it's password protected, but reach out to us and find out what the link is there. And then, of course, we have lots of collateral as well that I can share with you if you'd like to see kind of the data behind our program.
Perfect. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much. I'm Adam Simmons with Project Geospatial. We will talk to everybody next time.